So here we start our second lecture regarding network analysis. The previous lecture we mentioned some terminology and related some terminology of network analysis and the step involved to process the network analysis. In this particular lecture we want to learn some object of the network analysis and the basic concept of the network analysis and too many more terminology and the correct and incorrect diagramical representation of a network diagram. So we start our second lecture, object of the network analysis. Okay, the object of the network analysis is, here we mention the object of the network analysis very clearly, so you cannot write anything here. Just here we mention network analysis is a successful technique. It's a successful technique, okay, frequently used to plan, monitor and control the project involving the thousand of activities. When we construct a building, there isn't only 5 or 7 or 10 activities, but if you learn the network analysis and the way of representation of a network analysis, and after evaluation of the result of the network analysis using part and CPM, in that case your object is to monitoring the plan, controlling the project and frequently used in the different plan, and our objective is to minimize the project's cost. It is always preferable for everyone the costing of the project should be decreases. To minimize the project time, it's also very important. In the last lecture we have already mentioned, if you are a government employee and you just want to retire and you complete your job in December 2020, if you want to construct a building for yourself, in that case you should concentrate the time the December 2020. Before 2020 you need a safe zone for you, that is your home place. And the second one is, there is some and you need lump sum money to construct a building, but still your goal is to minimize the costing to construct the building. The third one is to ensure the optimal utilization of the human and the other resources. It is also very important when we construct a building. In most of the cases you should learn that if you work according to the daily work, মানে যদি আমি প্রতিদিনের কাজের পয়সা দিতে থাকি, দেখা যাবে most of the laborer just doing their job very little, and most of the time they taking some berries and they connect to their internally, and when the time is to close the day's work, they just close at the proper time and go to their home. মানে দেখা যাবে তুমি যখন একটা ডেইলি লেবারকে লাগাচ্ছ, তখন যদি লেবারটা দেখা যাচ্ছে বেশিক্ষণ সময় বসে থাকছে, বিড়ি খাচ্ছে, কিন্তু কাজের কাজ করছে না। এই নেটওয়ার্ক অ্যানালিসিসের মাধ্যমে আমরা যদি হিউম্যান রিসোর্স অ্যান্ড আদার রিসোর্সেস যদি ফুললি ইউটিলাইজ করতে পারি, তাহলে অটোমেটিক্যালি অপটিমাল ইউটিলাইজেশন অফ the human and the other resources, you can minimize the costing. To ensure হবে the minimum conflicts and the unnecessary delayed. মানে মিনিমাম কনফ্লিক্ট মানে যখন একটা কনস্ট্রাকশন হচ্ছে, বিভিন্ন রকমের কনফ্লিক্ট আসতে পারে বা বিভিন্ন রকমের দ্বন্দ্ব বিবাদ এসে যেতে পারে, সেই মিনিমাম মানে কনফ্লিক্টটাকে মিনিমাম ভাবে, আমি যেহেতু বিল্ডিং কনস্ট্রাকশনের উপরে এক্সাম্পল দিলাম তার জন্য বিল্ডিংয়ের ওপরেই রয়ে গেছি। আদার্স ক্ষেত্রে কনফ্লিক্ট হচ্ছে, ধরো কোনো একটা কাজ অ্যাট এ টাইম একজনই করতে পারে, আবার অন্যজন যদি সেখানে ঢুকে যায় তাহলে অটোমেটিক্যালি কাজটায় কনফ্লিক্ট চলে আসবে, তাই কাজটা ডিলে হয়ে যাবে। আর হচ্ছে আননেসেসারি ডিলে মানে আজকে কাজ হলো না, বাড়ি আমার লেবার নেই, আজকে ওয়েদার ভালো নেই, কাজ হবে না, এই ধরনের ডিলে যেন না হয়, সেই সমস্ত জিনিসগুলো আমরা নেটওয়ার্ক অ্যানালিসিস ডায়াগ্রাম করে থাকলে এবং আগে থেকে যদি বিষয়টাকে বুঝতে পারি তাহলে আমরা করতে সক্ষম হব। নেক্সট ওয়ান ইজ the basic key concept in the network. It's the very important. The first one, from the first slide to in the last slide, we use some key concept. One of them key concept is the activity. What is the meaning of activity? What represent the activity? It's very important. The activity. An activity refers to the physically identifiable part of the project which consumes time and cost. An activity is represented by an arrow. When we construct a network diagram, activity should represent by an arrow. The activity also may have a predecessor activity and the successor activity. Sometimes we also construct some diagram where the activities can represent by the circle or the nodes. That means you can draw a network using the activity by an arrow or by a node. Okay, here we mention the example when we mention a activity by an arrow. That means if it's your first job, if it is your second job, it's represent if you cannot complete the job one, you cannot move to the job two. And here is a very important thing is arrow. That means after completion of this job, you can start this job. যতক্ষণ ফাউন্ডেশন না হবে ততক্ষণ পিলার তৈরি করা যাবে না। তার মানে পিলার তৈরি করতে গেলে the previous job should be the foundation. Okay, and the another way of representation, that is one first job, this one is the second job, this one is your first activity, this one is your second activity, and connected by this activity by an arrow. Okay, that is the two different way of a representation of a network diagram when we use the activity. Okay, so move to the next slide. This one, how to represent an activity, কিভাবে আমরা অ্যাক্টিভিটিকে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে পারি। In the last slide we have mentioned the two different way you can represent your activity. One is the arrow and another one is the node representation. Activity should be represented by an arrow connecting two nodes, these two nodes connected by an arrow. Okay, second one, all the activities should be forwarded direction, that should not be the backward direction. It may be upward or downward direction, but it can never be the reverse direction. Okay, should remember this. Activity should be either represented by the number or by the alphabet. Here we represent the activity 1, activity 2, and here we represent the activity by only A. All the alphabets and numbers should be ascending order. All the alphabets is also very important. All the alphabets and number should be in ascending order. তার মানে first event 1 হলে second event 2 activity 2, third event third activity 3, fourth activity 4, and so on. মানে একের পরে 3 যাব, তারপর 1 এর পরে 3, next 2, তারপর 5. It should not be happen. Okay, similarly when we use the alphabet, first we use A, then we use B, then we use C, then we use D, and so on. In the next slide we represent the correct way of representation of the activity and the incorrect way of representation of the activity. This is the diagrammatical representation. When we represent the activity A, let's represent this one. Okay, but this is not the correct way. There is no end node, so you cannot draw this kind of drawing. 1 2 2. Okay, 1 2 2, you always make an arrow from the activity from the previous activity to the next activity. But here it's the wrong arrow representation, because here we mention the arrow from B to A. That should not be happening. Okay, that one the different way of representation, যে কোনো ভাবে করতে পারো, এইভাবে এভাবে এভাবে, কিন্তু এরকম হবে না, কোনো অ্যারো নেই, মাঝে গ্যাপ আছে, এইরকম করে করা পসিবল না অ্যাক্টিভিটি গুলোকে। ওকে, clear? The correct and incorrect activity, you can represent activity, the correct form is this and incorrect form is this. That means you should not use this type of representation to draw a network diagram. In the next slide we move to what is event. What is event? It's very important. What is event? In the next slide we move to what is. In this slide we represent what is an event, the clear idea regarding event. An event represented by an event represent the start and the end point of an activity. An event represent the start and the end point of an activity. That means they represent the event. Okay, they represent the event. Okay, and this one is your activity to complete, move from first event to second event. It is normally represented by a circle called nodes. Event কে আমরা সার্কেল দিয়ে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করে থাকি। The represent tail event or starting event, and second representation is the end event or the head event. এটাকে বলা হয় tail event, এটাকে বলা হয় head event. Okay, here it's a very important idea. A is called the preceding activity of B. If we draw a network exactly from this one is your event 1, this one is your event 2, this one is your event 3, and your activity is A. After completion of A, you cannot start your activity B. In that case, A is called the predecessing activity of B and B is called the succeeding activity of A. তার মানে আমি যদি ভাবতাম বিল্ডিং কনস্ট্রাকশনের কথাটা, ফাউন্ডেশন হচ্ছে প্রিডিসেসর অ্যাক্টিভিটি অফ দ্য মেকিং পিলার। পিলার তৈরি করার আগে আমাকে ফাউন্ডেশন করতে হবে, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য প্রিডিসেসর অ্যাক্টিভিটি, অ্যান্ড দ্য সাকসিডার অ্যাক্টিভিটিস পিলার টু মেক পিলার। যেমন ছাদ তৈরি করার কথা যদি ভাবি, তাহলে ছাদ তৈরি করতে গেলে আমাকে পিলার করতে হবে। দ্য পিলার ইজ দ্য প্রিডিসেসর অ্যাক্টিভিটি অ্যান্ড ছাদ ইজ দ্য সাকসিডার অ্যাক্টিভিটি। ক্লিয়ার? So it's a very important idea regarding the drawing of a genuine project or network diagram. Okay, in the next slide we'll use some important idea, should not mention in this case. So here it's the importance of the important point regarding network. The network consists of the different activities maintain the preceding and succeeding relation, and another one is this network is not a time scalar diagram. That is, length of the arrow does not indicate the duration of the time. Okay, so this one is a diagramical representation of a network. In the next lecture we will learn how can I construct a network diagram. That's all for this lecture, and thank you for listening.